Well, good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the Axon Johnson Centre for the Study of Classical Architecture here at the University of Cambridge. My name is Frank Salmon. I'm the director of the centre here. We were founded in 2021 to study, research all aspects of classical architecture from the ancient Greek and Roman worlds through to the present day, which we encourage by a summer programme in classical design for students. So we cover a wide chronology and a wide geography, but we have had something of a special interest in the 17th and early 18th century in Britain and in the circle around Christopher Wren, which of course includes Sir John Vanbrugh. So this is very topical for us that our contribution to the Vanbrugh 300 conference would be the hosting of this Georgian Group symposium. I just want to take the opportunity as I just introduced the centre, to thank my colleague Elizabeth Deans, who's been the instrumental person in setting up the programme on our side. So thank you very much, Elizabeth, for all that you've done. As you see today, we are based as a centre at Downing College here in Cambridge, the Enlightenment College, the only one in Oxford and Cambridge. It was founded in the 18th, or like the start of the 19th century. And of course we have the splendid theatre to meet in, which seems such an appropriate place to be celebrating the life of the agreeable man, John Vanbrugh, who some of us heard about at the Evensong at St Stephen Walbrook yesterday, where a memorial plaque to Vanbrugh was unveiled. Not only, in fact, there are two connections I just want to briefly mention. Not only was this theatre inaugurated in 2010 with a performance of The Relapse by Sir John Vanbrugh, giving it particular topicality, and I thank my colleague Matthew Walker for pointing that out to me. And indeed, you can see the poster at the top of the stairs as you come up there. But secondly, this theatre was designed and opened in 2010 by Quinlan and Francis Terry, and Francis is here with us today and will be speaking to us later on, so it's doubly appropriate that we are here because of the connection with Francis as well, who, as many of you all know, has just completed the brilliant reimagining of Vanbrugh's tapestry drawing room at Castle Howard. So for all sorts of reasons, we are delighted that we are the venue here and the supporters of the Georgian Group Symposium for 2026. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Anya Lucas, the secretary of the Georgian Group, and she will introduce the day for us. So welcome, enjoy your day, and I'm sure it's going to be a very fascinating, intellectually stimulating day for us. Thank you.
Thank you for such a warm welcome, Frank. My name is Anya Lucas. I'm director of the Georgian Group, and with Frank, Elizabeth Deans and Charles Somer-Smith, one of the conveners of today's symposium. I'm delighted to welcome you today, whether you're a long-standing member of the Georgian Group or whether you've discovered our work through today's event. We organise a major symposium each year, and this year we're particularly delighted to be partnering with the Axon Johnson Foundation Centre for the Study of Classical Architecture. Our huge thanks to the Centre and to Frank and Elizabeth and their colleagues for hosting us, and through their networks and ideas helping to make today a success. Last year, as many of you will know, the Georgian Group secured funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund to present a year-long festival in 2026, marking the tercentenary of Sir John Vanbrugh's death. Our partners in this exciting project are Castle Howard, Blenheim Palace, Seaton Delaval Hall, Grimsthorpe Castle, Kimbolton Castle and Stowe House, all buildings which demonstrate Vanbrugh's ability to exploit the emotional and dramatic possibilities of architecture, and we're hugely grateful to the lottery and to the partner houses for their energy and ideas. As we hope today's papers will demonstrate, Vanbrugh was an extraordinarily energetic, creative, charming and flamboyant figure who blazed a trail through Augustan England, conquering first the London stage and then the world of architecture and country house design via imprisonment in France for suspected spying, travel to India, military service and membership of the Kit Kat Club. There was even an unexpected role as a herald in the College of Arms, which ruffled feathers, but which, as we'll see later this morning, he nevertheless fulfilled with seriousness of purpose. We're hugely excited that thanks to the Heritage Fund, Vanbrugh 300 has such a significant geographical spread and accessibility and outreach at its heart. Events for the year are just getting underway, and yesterday some of us gathered at St Stephen Walbrook in the City of London for a really beautiful service of commemoration and a monument unveiling. Unbelievably, there had been no monument to Vanbrugh in his place of burial until yesterday. Tomorrow, as part of the first Vanbrugh 300 weekend, Seaton Delaval House will be lit up with a spectacular sound and illumination display of portraits as storyteller performances, drop-in family crafts and a short performance based on Vanbrugh's career also get underway. More and more connections are being made nationally, and we've been so delighted with the way that Vanbrugh 300 has captured the public imagination. I'm particularly thrilled that there are now 2,000 or more children taking part in Vanbrugh 300 educational programmes up and down the country. I was also delighted to learn this month that Castle Howard have commissioned the artist and stage designer S. Devlin to produce a new installation in the Temple of the Four Winds. And S. Devlin, of course, has worked on kinetic stage sculptures for Miley Cyrus and Billie Eilish concerts, among others. And it does make me wonder what Vanbrugh would be working on were he alive today. Meanwhile, exhibitions open at all the houses, as well as at the Soane Museum in London. And there has been and will be new publication on the subject this year too. We really can feel the dynamic spirit of the man himself running through the year. Thank you to the whole Vanbrugh 300 project team who are with us here today, led by project manager Helen Vigers, and to Liz Green of the National Trust, Cathy Courtney, and Charles Somerers-Smith, our steering group members. Today then is the intellectual beating heart which will power the festival and ensure the subject receives the scholarly attention it deserves. When Frank, Elizabeth and I sat down to plan this event, we hoped it would elicit interesting and varied responses, but we had no idea that Vanbrugh scholarship was experiencing quite such a resurgence, or how many strong proposals that would come forward. We hope you'll forgive us, therefore, for the intensive programme today in which we've adopted Axon Johnson-style 15-minute papers to include as many responses as possible. We have papers from established and emerging scholars from several different disciplines, and what's so pleasing, I think, is the number of different angles we're approaching our subject from today, and the promise that, taken together, a fuller and more vivid portrait of Vanbrugh will emerge. Just last month, Christopher Ridgway, one of our speakers this morning, reminded me of the incredible story of how Vanbrugh's passage to India was discovered by Robert Williams after painstaking research in the East India Company archives. And this was a phase of Vanbrugh's life which was, of course, entirely unknown to his earlier biographers, Lawrence Whistler and Kerry Downs. And, of course, Van's turn to architecture, it remains one of the great unanswered questions of early modern architectural history. How much more remains to be discovered, I wonder? We're enormously grateful to the Paul Mellon Centre for Studies in British Art for funding free student places at today's event, and to the National Lottery Heritage Fund once again for supporting the filming of today so that the proceedings can be watched and enjoyed by a large audience online via the dedicated Vanbrugh 300 website. In describing one of his architectural commissions, Claremont, Vanbrugh expressed his hope that the dramatic force of the building he had designed might both stare his patron in the face and knock him down at once. Today we hope to capture some of the energy and force so characteristic of Vanbrugh as we begin the tercentenary year. It's my great pleasure now to introduce Vanbrugh biographer Charles Somerers-Smith to chair our first session on Vanbrugh, the writer and herald. Charles.